Das ist er, der BMW 1800. Und das Temperament eines echten Sportwagens. Schnell, spritzig, kraftvoll.
In the mid-1960s, BMW more or less invented the sports sedan, leveraging its motorsports cred to dominate this segment for the next 40 years. BMWs were the sweet spot for folks who wanted something well-engineered, understated and elegant, and practical for daily life. And while great handling, boxy yet beautiful sedans were BMW's heart and soul, it has a sexy side too. With cars like the first ever M is for Motorsport car, the 1978 BMW M1. The M1 Motorsport magic trickled down to create the first 5 Series M5 in 1980, to the M6 in 1983, and to the M3 in 1986. While Nick and I have plenty to say about the current state of BMW, let's take a step back to simpler times when BMW got everything just right.
So now we're in my E36 M3.
So, man, what a pretty car. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it really is a great car. It's beautiful. Do you want to hear the story about how I got it? Some years ago, 4-ish, I was at a buddy's house for dinner, and another mutual friend of ours was there. Her name is Michelle, and I brought my E30 M3 at the time.
Okay.
She comes in and she's like, "Oh, I love your car. I think my dad has one. It's blue. I don't really know. I haven't really seen it in a bunch of years." And I was like, "Well, can I see it? How do I see it?" And she's like, "Well, it's parked in New York, but it's been parked there since he moved back to New York from LA." Her dad is David Chase, as in the creator of The Sopranos.
Oh, okay. Wow.
From New York, but lived in LA when they were shooting, I guess, a lot of that show. And it was just his daily driver while he was in LA. When the show wrapped, he almost immediately moved back to New York.
Right.
But brought the car with him. The car went straight to a climate-controlled indoor storage facility, where it then parked for 17 years.
So fresh from the set of The Sopranos to an indoor storage facility for 17 years.
In New York, yeah.
What a letdown for this poor car.
Probably 6 months later, I had kind of forgotten about it. She finally gets in touch with me. She's like, are you still interested in that car? I think we have some pictures for you. And I was like, yeah. The business manager or actually I think it was the person who was in charge of the storage facility sent me pictures. They were like horrifically bad pictures. And I was like, oh my God, it's an E36 M3. I'm pretty sure it's Avis or Astroli. Like, you just couldn't really tell. And I was like, yeah, I'm very interested. So I was expecting them to be like, you know, a good deal, 15 or 20 grand or something.
Right.
They come back to me and her dad basically says, I'll take 6 grand for the car. I just want it out and you have to pay for shipping and the car comes as is. And I was like, So I literally brought them $6,000 cash to the business manager's office in Century City the next day. Had it shipped for I think $1,500 at the time. It went straight to the M shop. It needed like $2,500, maybe $3 grand worth of stuff, just seals and bushings and, you know, whatever. And so I was all in on the car, less than 10 grand. And now she has 39,531 miles as it sits today. So the interior is called Dove. Dove, and these are the Vader seats, which is like the sport version of the M3 seat. You could get like a, you know how in a 911 you can do kind of the pillowy seat, and then you can do a bucket. This is the M3 version of a bucket.
Beautiful. She's good.
Yeah, it moves. You know, I mean, it's a 25-year-old car with 230 horsepower, so it's you know, it's not gonna knock your socks off, but it moves, it's smooth, it revs high, you know. I'm a big M3 enthusiast. I don't think it's the best M3 by any means.
So this is so you had an E30 M3.
I had an E30, and I had this. I've had an F80, and I've had an E46.
Okay.
E46 probably my favorite, arguably the best M3 ever made.
So now, the idea of parting with this car.
Yeah. I just I'm in a place where I'm paying insurance on all of these cars, like too many. I don't really drive this car, and that's sort of a combination of the fact that it just has such low miles and it's so clean that I don't want to crash it.
Right.
And I don't want to add unnecessary miles. I also have the GT3 RS, so when I get to the parking spot and it's between driving this or the GT3 RS, I just gravitate towards that car.
Oh, that's lovely. We're driving two cars today. One is the Model Y. The other is this car. It's just so funny how cars can be so rewarding in such completely different ways. Because that Model Y on this road is a lot of fun, but for none of the same reasons that this car is fun.
Right. Yeah, I think this car is more fun, but then, my argument to myself is like, am I just old?
If you're old, I'm a fossil.
Well,
don't answer that.
Part of me is just like, just get rid of it, let somebody else enjoy it, and then another part of me is like, wait 5 more years and it'll be worth it.
The thing with this car, if I were you, is that don't underestimate, provenance with things like this, and the fact that it was David Chase's car, like that's all part of the story behind this car.
Right.
Like I'm kind of tempted, to tell you the truth. And I've got no business with another car. I've got even less business with another car than you do.
Right.
Just a lovely, sweet-sounding car that you can
throw it around.
Throw it around. It's surprisingly softly sprung.
Oh yeah. It needs suspension.
It does. And so, do you feel maybe that part of the reason why you want to get out of it is because in order to keep it and exploit the car for what it can do, you'd want to do all the things to it that everybody else has done to theirs, which will destroy the value of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I'd also love to supercharge it.
Right. It is such a sweet little thing, though.
It's a great car. It needs some more power. It needs better suspension.
Yeah.
To kind of be perfect.
Right.
However, this car is so clean and so perfect that this car must stay OEM.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think this car can be bastardized. So I'm stuck in between this place of, do I just keep this car and essentially let it sit and gain value, or do I get rid of it and move on to something that I might actually drive and enjoy more?
You'll miss it, I think.
Yeah.
And the choice is yours. Either you can make the money on this car in 5 years, or you can let somebody else make it.
Right.
And there's nothing worse, given how kind of
I'm going to be kicking myself in the ass in 5 years.
Because you and I sort of fancy ourselves, if not collectors, at least enthusiasts.
Yeah.
So once you've actually got the car that appreciates, if then you sell it before it peaks and somebody else enjoys that peak, you kind of feel like
an idiot
a bit.
Right. It's like selling Amazon in 2002.
Exactly. So don't be an idiot, Nick. Come on.
And you watching Don't Be an Idiot, like and subscribe.
Yeah. See that?
See what I did there?
It's great. Yeah.
God, that was like improvisation.
I think that's
101.
in the YouTube Don't handbook, which is don't treat your audience badly. But oh well. There you go.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, do it.
Boom. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. That was better.